All right, there we go. YouTube give me some issues this morning. All right, so let's hop over to the news, take a look to see what's happening on that side. Uh, then what I'll do is if you guys have any pairs that you want to take a look at, we can take a look at those first. You can drop those into the chat and we'll go from there. So let's hop over to trade economics. All right, so anticipation of tariffs is where we are, right? European equity markets opened lower on Wednesday as investors adopt a cautious stance. Excuse me, cautious stance ahead of Donald Trump's upcoming tariff announcements. Reports indicate that Trump is considering a universal 20% tariff on most imports. Uh, though uncertainty persists regarding the scale and scope of the potential levies, meanwhile, Asian markets traded mixed, while U.S. stock futures were under pressure. All right. So I mentioned just having a flat 20% on everything, basically. Um, we'll see how that goes. Okay. Um, they also mentioned that these wouldn't go into effect until 12:01 noon Eastern time. And some of these could also, and they might talk about in some of these articles, but they could also impact things that have already been shipped, right? A lot of companies were trying to get orders in early and get those orders moving ahead of time. But he's talking about potentially adding these levies to things that have already been shipped, which I don't know exactly how that'll happen, but that's the tactic that he's using here. All right. So everybody's bracing for whatever this looks like in the coming hours. All right. Um, you got gold. Gold rose above 31.30 on Wednesday, climbing back toward record levels reached in previous session, driven by risk aversion as markets brace for additional U.S. tariffs that could escalate the global trade war. The White House did not disclose details of the tariff scope, but did say they would take effect immediately after being unveiled. Donald Trump also hinted the duties would impact many countries, raising concerns about broad economic fallout. Additionally, gold was supported by expectations of interest rate cuts, central bank buying of gold, um, and strong demand for gold-backed ETFs. The Chinese gold ETF added 233,000 ounces of national bullion over the past weekend. Uh, Over the past week, sorry. Meanwhile, recent U.S. economic release shows weak jobs data and poor manufacturing report. Investors are now focused on Friday's non-farm payroll report for more insights into the Fed's rate path. So investors are still looking at rate cuts, or market participants, sorry. Um, we'll see if that happens, or to the degree that they're anticipating. Um, but like I said yesterday, from a gold perspective, you have central banks and countries buying gold at record paces still. Right? We've been talking about that for a couple of years now, and they're still doing it. So, what does that tell you about gold? Okay, and where we're headed. Uh, Brent crude oil futures fell below $74 a barrel on Wednesday as the markets braced for U.S. reciprocal tariffs that could escalate the global trade war. The White House did not disclose details on the size or scope, but stated they would affect immediately after being announced. We just read all of those things. Meanwhile, oil recently found support from Trump's recent threat of secondary duties on Russian oil, um, and increased sanctions on Iran as part of his maximum pressure campaign to curb exports. All right, so you got sanctions on Russia, sanctions on Iran. Iran has a different conversation too, because things are escalating more than what's being reported there also. Um, but elsewhere, API data showed crude oil rose by 6 million barrels, while gasoline fell by 1.6 million barrels. Investors await the OPEC meeting later this week. Um, you have Donald Trump threatening to bomb Iran if they aren't willing to negotiate. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind. Um, as those things continue to escalate, right? Iran being a major producer, something to watch there. Okay. You also have escalation in ground attacks in Gaza from Israel, right? That also isn't being talked about. That could also continue to escalate the geopolitical scenario. Okay. At one point, we're talking about a ceasefire, and during that ceasefire, um, Israel attacked the Gaza Strip, and those attacks continue. So that's happening in the background. Those things aren't being talked about in the mainstream media, but also have an impact on some of the things that we use on a daily basis, i.e., oil, um, and just other additional spending. So keep your eyes peeled there. Okay. That's it from trading economics. Over to the calendar. We got refresh. Not a ton going on this morning early, right? But 8:15 we got non-farm employment change. Then you got President Trump speaking at 4 o'clock. But you got I believe his release is going to be earlier than 4 o'clock for those tariffs. So we'll see if there's a meeting before then. And then your crude oil inventory is at 10:30. Okay, so that's where we are there. Let's see how far Iran. Doesn't he want them to give up some land, or is it their mineral? I don't know the details of it. I think it's both, though. I think it's both um, land and mineral rights. But I have to look more into it. I just saw um, in the interview, didn't go into details regarding what he was asking for. But yeah, I'll have more details tomorrow on that. But that's what I got from a fundamental perspective, good people. Any questions or any other thoughts about today or what we covered? Benny, good morning, bro.
Brian, good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Uh-oh, hold on 1 second, bro. I can't hear you. I don't know why. Hold on 1 second.
Appreciate
My
it,
bad.
Joy.
Good morning, bro. My bad.
Hey, what's up, man?
Not too much, man. Headphones going crazy this morning.
It's all good. It's all good.
But talk to me about what's happening your way, man.
Yeah, man, nothing. Waiting, waiting on this guy to say whatever he got to say today, and so is the rest of the world. My bad, I'm late. I was actually going back and listening to Bloomberg, the China session, and China's like, hey, he's being a bully, but nobody knows. Like, the word is that they're still working right now, like the final details.
Yeah, I heard that too on Bloomberg this morning. Yeah,
Yeah, so I'm just like, who know? Who knows? Everybody's waiting so they can adjust, but it's messing up everything because nobody likes uncertainty. So, and
nobody likes it, sir.
yeah, and that's all it's been, which is why the markets are the way they are right now. And so I'm hoping that people like I don't say hoping. I think that the market is just like whatever he whatever he comes out and says, it's like, okay, well, this is the way it's going. At least we know where it's going. Now we can act accordingly. But right now they just really can't act at all.
Can't do anything, dude.
You can't do anything. So I think that's their take is just like, man, just give us something. Like
Yep, yep.
just give us something. We'll develop our strategies and our game plans moving forward. But give us something that's solid and concrete that we could at least ride off of for a quarter. Like I think they would take 30 days at this point.
Say that last part again,
I think they'll take 30 days worth of consistency at this point in a
man.
in a message, let alone a quarter. So
Right?
so it's just I don't know, man. It's just silly to me. It's just it's
No,
just it's just silly watching what's going on in politics. That race in Wisconsin, you know,
yeah,
was a big one because it was a big test to see if people were gonna hold up, against the backdrop of millions of dollars being flooded into the state, for the race. He giving out. Elon was handing out $1 million checks to people, and they still voted. They voted the other way.
yeah.
They voted the other way. The races in Florida they won, but the margin wasn't as wide as it really should have been in considered a Republican stronghold. So of course people were spending that different ways this morning. But I honestly don't some of the people around him, traditional politicians, may care about that. I don't think he cares. I think he's got.
No, he
I think he's.
doesn't.
Yeah, I'm thinking he's looking at it like I don't care. I got 4 years to act out on my agenda and execute the game plan. So
Yep.
I don't know.
Whatever
Sometimes
happens, I don't care.
yeah. So sometimes people look at those races when they don't go. You know. As one party think that they should have win or whatever, or a surprise victory or a surprise defeat. Usually, it'll cause that party to kind of take pause and pivot a bit because of hey, this is the early sign that the midterms may not go the way we want. I don't think he cares about any of that. So,
Yeah.
I think he's operating with a very narrow focus right now and what he believes in, and he's out to execute his plan. So it'll be interesting to see what he has to say. But just give us something.
Just give us something, bro. Just give us something, man. It's crazy. It's
Yep.
crazy. Elon might care. Elon might care. But but Trump is out for self, man. What's gonna make himself the most money? Um this is gonna be interesting to see. They said things won't take effect until 12:01 Eastern time this afternoon, so we'll see. We'll see how things go. Um uh do you guys have any pairs that you want me to take a look at? That's how we're gonna start the day out. If you haven't, drop it in the chat for me. GJ Cad Swiss. Got it. We'll go Cad Swiss first. So this one overall just range bound at these lows, right? This is on the monthly time frame, all time lows here. Okay. Watching and waiting to see if we actually get a reaction to move back to the top here at what's that, 69? 68, 335, right? But just range bound at all-time lows. So we come back to the daily time frame. We got the swing low that formed there, and we're making those higher lows here. So trying to get some lift off. We made this pullback, we pushed back down. So we'll see if we continue the momentum to the upside or if we got another push to the downside coming to give us a near time double bottom here. Okay. Um, but overall, I think we continue moving to the upside. We have CPI tomorrow for the Swissy, expected to be lower than previous month, right? Which could lead to that upward movement in that or the weakening of the Swiss a little bit. So keep that in mind there. We could see that lift off tomorrow, depending on how things go today. We might see some more safe haven action immediately and then that reversal back to the upside. So we come down to the 4 here. And you see just the bounce back and forth. You got a nice push yesterday in favor of the Canadian dollar, and we're pulling back a little bit now. So um, if we stay above, this level here, or this range here, 61 to 27, right, and see a bounce and potential continuation to the upside. We got the stochastic in the sell zone here, right? So those sounds overbought. So let's look for a pullback, and then we'll look for continuations to the upside. So what does it look like on the 1? All right, that's well, first, this was a beautiful move, right? You just missed that 382 level, got into that 118 and 127 zone, gave us a beautiful retracement. 618 level, we got lift off here, right? So it's a beautiful trend line break, beautiful cloud break. So we might scrap everything that I just said from the higher time frame regarding a deeper push, and we might be on the move to the upside here. Let's see how deep this retracement comes, right? So like I said, if we stay above that level, we stay above this level, right? And we just come back and retest this area here, right? We could be looking at a continuation to the upside there. That's a beautiful, beautiful push, a beautiful cloud break. So let's look for a retracement in this area. And if we're able to hold here, then look for that continued motion to the upside, right? That fib off the bottom is just a fresh AB boundary, right? So we're looking at this B to C move, and then we'll look for that move back long. Okay. So that's actually a really nice setup here. Wait on the pullback, and then we'll look for a continuation to the upside, making our way to 62,495. We'll call on that, Joy. Appreciate you. All right, so there we're on the cat Swiss looking long. We'll pull this out, update this. Boom. And we'll look to get that action there out the low. Okay. We'll look to get that action there out the low. Good morning, Deb. All right. So look for the pullback, and then we'll look for that continuation to the upside. Questions on the cat Swiss?
Nope.
All right. Aussie. We'll check it out. Appreciate that, Reese. Pound yen just range bound right now, man. Um, one of the things that in my reading this morning, Japan is on their list of countries that have taken advantage of the situation, however they deem that. Um, and so they're actually supposedly on this list to have some higher reciprocal tariffs. Um, so that'll be interesting to see how that actually plays out. Um, Japan governments have already come out to say that they're going to support their businesses um, in lieu of any of these reciprocal tariffs and any impact that they might have. They're prepared to support their businesses however they need to. Um, so that's that's also an interesting development there. So we'll see how all of that goes. But Japan's on the list too. So we'll see what the impact of to the yen is overall. But stochastic coming back down into this buy zone, right? Just been all over the place, really. Okay. We got a swing low there, right? And we're holding above that level right now. This is a previous resistance level. We'll shift up to there. Boom. So that's our current range right now. Um, been moving to the upside as expected previously, right? Um, Now we're looking to see if we're able to hold this level and continue making those higher lows to the upside. Okay. Um, Waiting on the stochastic to get back into the buy zone, and then we'll see how things develop today. Um, I exited the position that I did have on this, and I'm just sitting and waiting to see what the impact of today is. Excuse me. Do we see an initial flight to safety once those reciprocal tariffs are announced? And then do we see a reversal um, and this start to continue its way to the upside? So waiting to see what happens there overall. We come down here to the 4, you can see that range a little bit clearer here. Okay, we got a 382 at a double bottom there, and we got the push, right? And we're just bouncing back and forth. We got a stochastic in an overbought position. So could see more range bound activity, potentially push down a little bit further. But overall, we are just moving sideways. Okay. Um, so this one will be interesting to see as it continues to evolve. Overall, I still think we get some bullish action out of this. That hasn't changed for me yet. Bank of Japan is um still planning to increase rates just later on in the year. And we'll see what these tariffs do. You know, what happens around all of that. But I think we get more upside movement still out of these. It's just a matter of when. With everything so uncertain, like Benny was talking about, you know, it's waiting for all of these things to happen and then see where how the market takes it, right? Um, and if there's any certainty given behind it, right? Because at the end of the day, for the market, um, it doesn't have any emotion, right? So it's about what's being implemented and is there certainty behind it, and then that direction can take hold, right? Um, us people give the emotion, but the market is just going wherever the money's moving. So in whatever direction that it goes, we're able to take advantage of that action and prepare for future actions, right? But we just need a direction. And that's what we're sitting tight waiting on is a direction. So but that's where we are on the pound yen. I don't have a ton here right now, waiting to see what happens with all of this. This is an 80-20 here on the one, right? So that potential for a deeper move down. Uh, but it's just range bound. Tons of uncertainty on this side. You got any other thoughts on this one, Joy?
Um, so I was in GJ and UJ, and then we seen the death cross on the daily on Saturday on UJ. So which made me look at GJ. And I believe I don't remember, I fell asleep when I was doing my charts last night and it was on GJ. But I believe I seen a death cross either on the 1 hour or the 30 minute. And so I closed my position when I seen it because it was like it was pulling back and looked like it was going to further down. So
Uh-huh.
I think I was looking for a buy on the one, but then I wanted your take on Japan and their fundamentals because it was an article that came out. Couldn't find it because it flashed by and it said something about what they was going to do with the tariffs, and I think that's what you just covered with the reciprocal
Yeah.
tariffs.
Yeah. BLJ government definitely said that they're um going to support their business. Let's see if I can find that article. But overall, I think they're still just like everybody else, waiting to see what happens so that they can make adjustments from there, right? Um, if there's more, I'll find the article and I'll send it to you. If there's more downside action initially, right, in flight to safety, that could continue to push off their need to increase those rates because of the strength of currency gains from that. But like I said, I think overall we'll get another turnaround and a push back to the upside. Uh, just overall. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's let's reconvene on the Bank of Japan tomorrow. After Trump says whatever he's gonna say, and then we'll go from there. Yes, Deb, you are correct. This is an 80-20, right? You got your salary retracement pushing to the 118 and 127 zone, came back, gave us a double bottom here, right? Which was a daily support, pushed back into that 118 and 127 zone, and now it's trying to make its way down, right? And so what we're talking about is just getting an understanding fundamentally of where the market is. Um, and if we see that continued downward correction, right? Yes, a sell setup. Sorry, not a buy. Correct. The sell setup here. Okay. This 80-20 to the downside, right? Um, Appreciate that correction, Reese. But yeah, 80-20 there, right? And we're just looking at the fundamentals of it to see if we get that continuation to the downside. But good eye there. Great work. Great work. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Right? Once you see it, you can't unsee it. All right. So that's GJ. Reese had an 80-20 on pound Aussie. This is another one that's interesting. Made a nice correction to the downside here. So we have here, right? We got to this 382, pushed into that 118 and 127 zone. Strong move up, right? Got stochastic slowly creeping to the upside still. Down on the 4, with that movement to the upside, we got a nice correction here. Stochastic in the buy zone. 618 retracement, getting some nice bullish action here off this retest of the cloud, right? So 2 areas here to watch. Got a potential move back to the upside here, getting us to the D extension. Okay. And Teresa's point, right? And then you come down to the 1, and you got your 80-20 setup. Decision, indecision, decision. We're moving to the upside. 80-20 here on the down fib for that reversal, right? So here's a nice setup. Looking for that to continue to the upside there. Okay. So that's on your 1 hour. Shallow retracement. 118 and 127 zone did not get to that D extension at 204. You got your reversal, right? Morning star. See if we get that to continue to the upside. Okay. So beautiful stuff there. Great eye, Reese. Appreciate you. 80-20 there. So he also said on the 30-minute. Boom. So if you traded 30-minute, you also got your 80-20 there as well. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. Right? Even in all the uncertainty, all the back and forth, 80-20s are still present throughout the market. Yeah, drop some sevens in the chat for Reese. 80-20s, 80-20s still present themselves in the market through all the madness, through all the craziness. Right? So there's an opportunity there on pound Aussie to the upside. Okay. Questions on the pound Aussie? No. Okay. Cool deal. Do want to take a look at this this pound NZD. I haven't checked back on it since I removed my previous position. But getting corrections. Let's see. We got a nice 50% retracement here. We pushed up, not able to break out. We're coming back down, stochastic in the sell zone. All right, so this is still coming to the downside here. I'm curious to see if we get a push back down to around this level. Uh, 222.69. Right? Can we get a move back down, retest the trend line, test that support, give us a double bottom, and then a push back to the upside? That's what I'm looking for there. We come down to the 4. That 80-20 is still intact there. 80-20 is still intact here on the 4, right? We never got a deep enough retracement. I believe we talked about this coming back and just testing that support level. Previous range there. But we still haven't gotten a deep retracement here. So, and the question is, do we get a deep retracement here, right? depending on what happens as we move through the week this week. But broke back above the cloud. We're bullish ahead on the cloud. We're retesting the cloud now. Stochastic on the 4 is in the buy zone. So we got a bit of a mismatch here. So we could see more range bound activity, right? When you got a mismatch in that stochastic on the higher time frames, we could see this just bounce back and forth here. Okay. So we could continue to be range bound here. We'll see how things transpire. This is an 80-20 here on the 4. So we'll watch and see what happens there. Come down to the 1. I'm going to run this fib off the low here. That's what I thought. It'll come up here. That got taken out as well. We might have an 80-20 similar to that pound Aussie. No, first B boundary there. So on this one, what we might end up seeing is along with that range bound activity, we might see another ABCD waveform here. We might see something like that. Okay. So sitting tight on that pound New Zealand, waiting for another leg to the downside. If you don't get it, that's okay. I made my money off of it, but if we do get that deeper push back to the support level in this trend line, I'll look for buying opportunity on it to get back long. Okay. So that's why I'm on the pound New Zealand. We'll see what happens there. Okay. Questions here? No. All right. Cool deal. Give me 1 minute, everybody. All right, I'm back. So that's where we are on that. Let's go here. Just take a quick peek at indice movement. So on the S&P 500, a double bottom held up. It held up. Let's see what happens today. Right? That level is holding so far. Let's see. Let's see what happens afternoon. Right? Do we get a crash out in the market and the S&P 500 push lower and break that 5,500 level? Or does this level hold and we get a double bottom and a continuation to the upside and that reversal? That's what we're looking to see. But then it definitely did hold yesterday. So let's see if we get another day to hold to complete that swing low formation right there.
Yes, it did. It should be interesting.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So there we are there. Let's see what happens. Starting to turn over a bit. We'll see if that level holds, and then we get that. that pushed back to the other side. So in limbo, just like everything else. Okay. In limbo, just like everything else. This is our larger range here. That's our larger range. So you bring that back over here. You got your bottom, top, bottom. Do we make our way back to the top or do we break through the bottom, continue down? That's the question. That's what we wait and see. Okay. That's what we wait and see. So that's all I got doing there on the S&P 500. NASDAQ. We got to that 382 level, starting to turn over now. Stochastic in the sell zone on the 4. Okay. On the daily, still lower in the zone here, still trying to press down. So do we, similar to that S&P 500, do we get another push to the downside? So that's what we're watching and waiting to see. Right? We get another push to the downside. I'll be excited. It was a better buying opportunity. All right. That's ultimately what I'm looking for here. Okay. Come to the 1. You got a cloud break on the 1. $50 retracement. What you see here, right? The cloud is starting to flatten out, right? Starting to flatten out. So do we see consolidation in the market just go back and forth with the cloud moving moving through price, right? So let's watch that there to see. Let's watch that there to see if that's what happens here, right? At least through the morning or through the day today, as the market figures things out. Okay, so that's where we're on the NASDAQ. US 30. Boom. You got that deep retracement there. That swing low, that swing high did form. Nice bearish action, right? You got some indecision happening there. And we might just turn over and press to the downside here, getting back to the matching D extension. Meta. Yeah, we'll take a look at it. But let's watch that and see if we get that movement to the downside there. Okay. You were on the 4, right? You got that larger fib, 8-6 retracement with the turnover. We're in the sub fib off the C. We got the 618 retracement, and we're turning over now. Stochastic pressing down, right? So we could see this one continue to move to the downside here. We'll see if we get back to the 40,000 level. All right. For me, that'd be ideal for buying opportunities. Okay. So that's what I'm looking at there on the US 30. Come down to the 1 real quick. Oops, not the 2 hour, 1 hour. Similar story, right? 618 retracement, matching extension down here in the 40,000 range. Okay, so potential more downward movement there on the US 30. Questions here? All right, let's take a look at Meta. What was the article about, Joy?
The article is in regards that they lost that AI research head.
Okay.
And so right now everything is in limbo on with that department.
Um, let me come back here for a second. This might be in a beautiful, ideal buying position here. Got your low there. It's on the weekly. This might be a nice setup here. Weekly, stochastic in the buy zone. We might get some consolidation down here in this range, but got resistance there. You got resistance there. So look, this. So back to this fib, right? You got your resistance levels in there. 8-6 retracement. If this is able to hold, if there's not a large gap to the downside here on this, when the market opens, if that level is able to hold inside that AB boundary and we just get some consolidation in here as a stochastic gets down back into that buy zone, this might be a great buying opportunity to the upside. Good call on this, Joy. We'll keep our eyes peeled here.
I opened it. I was waiting for the article to open. Basically, they was going over the Q4 earnings, and he reassured the investors about how much spending on AI and about possible competition from DeepSeek.
Okay.
So
Okay. Huh. Let's keep our eyes on this. Right. We got a swing low there on the 4 inside that AB boundary. See if that daily is able to hold also. If that daily is able to hold, we could be looking at a nice move to the upside, getting us back to at least 706. Potentially 740. Yeah. Let's keep this one on the radar. Yeah, let's keep this on the radar. I like this. And then if Trump comes through with those tax cuts, that'll really throw that thing in a hyperdrive. The weekly time frame and daily time frame. Benny set his eye on this for a minute. Yep. Yeah. That's beautiful. Great work. We might see that.
Nice setup. Interested to see if it can continue to pick up steam.
Yeah, man. Great work on this, bro.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, let's see if we can get that to happen. Great work. Teamwork makes the dream work. All right. Anything else before we wrap it up? We'll end it there. Benny, final thoughts before we wrap it up, bro?
Liberation Day, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Benny, I died. Benny, I died yesterday. I'm like, what is Benny talking about? And I seen the article come across. It was like liberation. I was like, he is a.
It's amazing how the media just goes with whatever he says. Like the man named his terrorist, gave it a title, and I'm looking at the front page of CNN, and it's like Trump's Liberation Day terrorist. I'm like, they actually wrote with this. Like if he runs for a third term, he's gonna be like, he's gonna call it Liberation Day or something. He gonna market it and run with it.
And the one reason why they call it Liberation Day, they have officially handpicked journalists to ask questions in the White House.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And nobody's standing in the way or doing anything about it. So it should be quite interesting. But that's all I got, man. It's Liberation Day. I don't know who's being liberated, but we'll see.
We'll see. Deb had a question. How long do these trade setups take? Don't know, Deb. That all depends on the market. We're not able to time the market. We just have the ideal entry and exit points. We allow the market to do what it does and take the time that it takes. It could take 1 day, it could take 6 months, it could take a year. We don't have a time frame on that. We look for the entries that meet our rules, and then we set take profit based on the rules of the Fibonacci sequence. So we set the take profit and we let that trade do what it's going to do. Right? You'll either hit your stop loss or to hit your take profit. One of the two. As long as we stick to our rules, the probability is in our favor. Right? Over time. So yeah, you're welcome. All right, good people. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. Let's see what this Liberation Day talk is all about. We'll chat in the morning. Peace.